Welcome back to the summit. So, I want to welcome Sheena Yap Chan to the summit today. She is a speaker, author, and activist, and she has a wealth of knowledge to share with you today. So, welcome to the summit, Sheena.
Hey, Pamela, thanks so much for having me here today and for inviting me as one of your speakers. I'm super honored to be here just to talk about, all things about entrepreneurship and especially the topic on confidence, because it's the one thing that we definitely need to keep pushing forward. And especially when times are always not 100% good, right? So honored to be
Exactly.
here.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I chose you as a speaker, because I know that you have a lot of experience in this area. So tell me what it means to you to operate as a CEO in your authentic identity.
I think to operate as your authentic self is to just be more human, right? I mean, we don't have to be perfect. And especially as women, right, we tend to overthink things and over prepare things to a T, but yet we still hold back a lot because we just feel like we're not good enough. And that stems from, gender and cultural biases that we go through. And so to just show up as who you are, is really important. They know, sometimes you'll make mistakes, you don't know everything, but you'll always figure it out. Men, they don't know half the things they do, right? They just say they'll do it and then figure it out as they go along.
Right.
And so if we had that same mindset of just
Mm,
saying yes to the opportunity and learning to figure it out, because we can do it as women, to be
yeah.
honest, we're a lot more capable than men. We can do amazing things. And there has been studies about that where when women just try, like so many things can happen. And so to be authentic is to just show up as your true self. If you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. If you're going through mental health challenges, then you're going through mental health challenges because we all go through it, right?
Right.
And learning to say that you need help, right? We
Mhm.
don't have to do every single thing alone. And I know as women, we're so good at
Yeah.
doing that, right? Because it's how we've been programmed all our lives. But
Right.
when we can go out there and ask for help, we can make our lives a lot easier and get things done a lot faster. So those are some of the things to me I think is an authentic person, especially in entrepreneurship. The more we can just showcase our true selves and show the good, bad, and the ugly, the more people can relate to us and realize it's all a part of the process.
I love that. So, how did you really tap into your own authentic identity when you started your business?
To me, it was really when I started my podcast. So I have a podcast called The Tao of Self Confidence, where I interview Asian women about their journey to self confidence and just learning all their stories. I've interviewed over 700 Asian women on this topic. And I realized, even though we have different stories, we all go through similar things. And, they were able to overcome it. So just knowing that, it's okay that you feel like you have to please every single person or you're going through something horrific in your life. We realize that that is just temporary and that we have the capability and the mindset to change the way we see things, to change our situation into something more positive. And so I realized, like, I was going through the same things they were going,
Mm,
and I didn't feel so alone in my journey, right? And
yeah.
that's the problem with women. We don't share how we feel. And that's also, as Asian women, we're told never to make any noise, never to say anything when something bad happens. And because of that, we always feel like we have to be that perfect person, the perfect daughter, the perfect wife, perfect sister, whatever it is. But the more we can talk about how we feel and what we're going through, and even just have an outlet to let it all out and have support, it can mean the world, right? So this was one of the reasons why I created the podcast. Support was very important. For some reason, I couldn't find any support systems that really catered to Asian women on building confidence. So part of me was always like, maybe something's wrong with me.
Right.
But really, we all feel that way. It's just nobody talks about it. And
Right.
so if it wasn't, being able to interview so many women and just hearing their authentic story, then I wouldn't be here today talking about it. Just having one person you can relate to can mean all the difference in the world.
So true. It makes such a difference. And I know you've made a huge difference in a lot of women's lives. So, share with us some of the tools and resources that you recommend others use just to assist them in this process.
Yeah, for sure. Joining women's groups are really important. You don't have to do it alone. There's a lot of, virtual meetups,
Right.
virtual meet and greets, things like that. Also listening to podcasts, right?
Mhm.
The best thing about podcasts is you can download them at any given moment. You can listen to them when you're busy,
Right.
when you're giving your kids a bath, when you're jogging outside, or even when you're
Riding
stuck
in the
at
car.
traffic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And also reading books, right? I mean, we created, like, I have a
Yes.
book called Asian Women Who Boss Up, and that highlights the stories of 18 Asian women, sharing their story of how they're able to forge their own path, overcome obstacles, and thrive. And that is really important because, as I mentioned, women don't share their stories enough. People don't realize 75% of readers are women, but yet there's so many books out there that are written by men. And sometimes, most of the time, we can't relate to a man and a man can't relate to us. We need to relate to women that are similar to us, or that look like us, or that go through the same things that we go through, because
Right.
then we can realize, like, oh, she went through that and she was able to overcome that, and so she's able to overcome that, then I have that possibility as well. And so that is why it's so important to create, more stories, share more stories, highlight women, elevate women. And because we don't think things like, what kind of legacy do I want to leave in this world, right? Most of the time we've been programmed to get a job, get married, never rock the boat,
Right.
and just take care of the family. Nothing is wrong with that, honestly.
Go along and get along, right?
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that if that's what you truly love. Go, I commend you. But if you yearn for something bigger, you have a bigger purpose, then we got to start asking ourselves, what kind of legacy do I want to leave on this
Mhm.
earth? Do I just want to be like a zombie and go to work 9 to 5 every Monday to Friday? Or do I really want to create an impact in this world? Do I really want to help women see what's possible for themselves? And so, these are important questions that we never ask, right? And
Absolutely.
it's time we need to start asking them.
So
Better late
true.
than never.
Well, and I think that's, one of the things that you do really well is that you get women to sort of ask these questions of themselves. And you do it in a way though that it's not just challenging, but it's also kind of like, oh yeah, there's more to me. There's more to my story. I have a lot to offer. And I think that's really what it comes down to is that we all know that our authentic self has so much to give the world. But a lot of times we feel like we don't really get to share a lot of that with everyone. It's like maybe there's a few people in our lives here and there that really kind of see all the parts of us, but we don't really get to share all the things we might want to share with other people. So I love that you encourage women to do that and really draw that out of women. I think that's really a gift that you have.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's so important to ask these type of questions, right? Yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable because it's not a typical question that you would ask a woman, right?
So true.
But we have to get uncomfortable to move forward. And so if it's uncomfortable, it's a good thing. That means that it's time for you to grow and get bigger and be, the person that you want to be, have your legacy, have the destiny that you were meant to have. And sometimes we forget to ask those things because it doesn't come up for us, right? It's mostly men who talk about those things, but never have I once hear women say, what kind of legacy do I want to leave on this earth?
Mm. Well, and as a collective, I think, the more that we do this as women, the more that we lift each other up, right? We help each other, we support each other, and the more likely we are to really create what we want in the world. And I think most women have a vision of the world that's very positive, right? And it's a future that most of us would want to live in where, we're all experiencing the best of what there is to offer each other. And so I think this is maybe more than ever such an important time for us to be going through this process ourselves and together.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, how has accessing your authentic identity really helped you in your business?
Oh my gosh, it's helped me so much, right? Some of the things that I was so scared of just kind of went away, right? Especially when it comes to selling. As women, we're so afraid to sell our
Yeah.
products and services because of, how we're brought up. It's not ladylike to go out there and promote yourself.
Right. Or
But
you
for
feel like a
me,
used car saleswoman or something.
yeah, but for me, if you have a product or a service that will help change a person's life for the better, then go
Right.
ahead and do that and be confident enough to charge what you're worth for, right?
Mm,
A lot of us, we
yeah.
undercharge ourselves or we give a lot for free
So
and
true.
don't take anything in return. And we have to learn to just set boundaries and realize this is what I'm worth. And I know this is why I'm worth this much because I know I can help you in your
Right.
business or in your life or change your life for the better. And when you can say that with conviction, and passion, and just the sincerity of you really wanting to help someone,
Yes.
they can see it and they can hear it, they can feel it. I mean, men aren't afraid to charge 5 figures
Right.
to help you out, right? Because they're
Right.
confident enough to do it. And so as women, we have to learn to just do it. Yes, of course, in the beginning it's going to feel weird because it's not something we do. Me too,
Right.
right? I fumbled through so many things,
Sure.
got rejected so many times, but it doesn't stop me from moving forward because I see the bigger picture. I know that everything happens for a reason and divine timing is
Right.
everything. And
Mhm.
sometimes rejection isn't really rejection. Rejection to me is just, no right now. No could be a blessing in disguise,
So true.
or sometimes you're just practicing, right? You're
Yes.
just practicing to become a better salesperson. So that was one thing. Like, it was really hard for me to ask money from people because of my cultural upbringing, right? It was
Sure. Yeah.
considered shameful and not proper. And so for the longest time, that was my programming. But I had to learn to unprogram and realize, these people are paying me for a service or a product that can really change your business, change your life, be able to do things that they never thought was possible. So I can
Right.
command that price because I know the outcome. I've seen it. There's proof. We've done the work. And so when you can see things in that perspective, it'll be a lot easier for you to sell something, right? Sell your product or sell your service. And so it's learning to believe in yourself, believing in your capabilities, and just taking action. Action, speaks louder than words. And when you're constantly out there sharing what you're doing, talking about it, honestly, like, people will come to you. People don't realize. So, in the rule of marketing, they said you need to see a product 7 times before your subconscious can say, oh, I need to buy that.
Right.
Well, now we're in this world of social media, right? So now the 7 times has turned into 18, at least 18 times before someone can process in their head, oh, I need to buy that.
That's
And so
crazy.
that's why it's so important for us also to go out there and sell and promote ourselves and showcase ourselves, because you do it once, no one's going to remember you. But if you do it constantly, you constantly show up, people are going to start know, hey, you know what? I keep seeing Pamela every single day. I got to check out what she's doing. She must have something to offer. She's talking about it every single day. Like the book, I promote it all the time. I pimp it out all the time. I'll even message people, privately just to say, hey, would love your support if you buy a book. The worst they could say is no, or I get ghosted. But
Right.
what if the best thing is you get sales, you got people buying, right? When they buy
Yeah,
once, they'll buy
exactly.
again, right? And so
Yeah.
sometimes a little personal touch can go a long way. So that was one thing that really helped me when it came to being my authentic self, learning, what is my style of selling? How can I help connect the dots? How, what is missing that's disconnected from that potential client to the sale? And so it's just learning to test and, trial and error everything, right? There's no one way of doing it. Yes, there's different models you can use, but we're all different people. And so you have to learn what your style is and what feels good for you, right? If it doesn't feel good for you, then you shouldn't do it. Selling doesn't have to be sleazy. It could be something that can really change someone's life, right? When someone
Right.
invests $5,000 to make them $10,000, that's a win.
Exactly.
Right? People
Yes.
don't see it that way. They're always constantly worried about, oh, I just lost $5,000. No, you just invested 5,000 because you
Right.
have the potential to make 10 and even more, right? If you put in the work, right?
Yes.
People don't realize just because you invest in something, it's not going to do it for you. You still got to do it, right? You still got to put the work in, like
That's
we
right.
all do, right? Like every entrepreneur does, right? They put in the work
No one's
constantly.
skating their way there.
Exactly. And sometimes, especially in the world of social media, right? You see all these, on digital marketers and influencers who say they are
Right.
living the life. And I'm not saying all of them are lying, but half the time, like, what you see in social media is not the real thing,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Sometimes they just rented the house for the day. Like, they don't live there.
Exactly. Yes. That's exactly right. You have no
Or
idea what's going on behind
making
the scenes.
people feel bad, like if you're not hustling, something's wrong with you, right? And it's even worse for a woman, because as women we do so many things, right? We don't have the luxury to concentrate on our business like 12 hours a day, because
Right.
especially if you're a mother, you have kids to tend to, right? You have
Yes.
chores to do, you have other family members to take care of, you have errands to run.
Right.
And so, a man can concentrate on a business for 12 hours because he has a woman running a household. And that's just the truth, right? I'm not trying to bash men. Of course, there's great men out there who support their women for
Sure.
sure. right? But most of the time, that's the truth.
Right. Yeah, no, it's true. But I think that, it's so empowering as women when we do step into our confidence and we start to do these things that we already know we can do, but we just haven't done them. And so there's that fear of like, what if I don't do it? Like you were saying earlier, what if I don't do it perfectly? And the fact of the matter is, there really is no perfect. It's just the taking action. Like you said, it's just the doing, it's the getting yourself out there. And the more you do it, the more you step into who you are. And I love that you're, like sort of giving women permission, because I think a lot of times we feel like we need permission to go and do these things that really, I mean, we should already be doing in some sense, because there's really no need for permission, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when we have, like you were saying, when we have something that people need, it's not even really selling anymore. It's a service,
You're
right?
helping them out.
You're helping people.
And
Exactly.
and it's all about also creating win-win situations. That's why there's a give and take, right?
Yes.
Both sides should be winning, right? It's not
Right.
win, lose, lose, win, or lose, lose. It's win, win. So if I pay
Yes.
you $5,000 for a service that can help me make 10 grand, why wouldn't I do it?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And I think that's what we need to learn as women, because we, like you said, we haven't been taught this. We haven't been taught to operate in these modes of, I'm serving people. This is how I'm helping people. But that I also have to, in return, be able to take care of myself and my family so that I can continue to serve people, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important for us to come to a point of being okay with that and doing it in a way that feels good to us.
Yeah. And you'll know the more you keep on working on yourself and getting to trust your gut more, you'll know what works for you and what doesn't, right? Because there's no one way of doing things. There's many different ways, but you get to pick and choose what works for you, right?
Yes,
I think
exactly.
it's important to know that, there's no one way of doing things because we always feel like there's always one way. Like I recently was talking to a woman and she was telling me how she said that she always had a lot of rage in her, right?
Mm,
And she didn't know why, and she didn't realize that rage was a sign of depression. Now when we look at I'm not a mental health expert, but I love talking about it and just the things that go with it, because I think mental health is very important, especially in entrepreneurship. But most people, when they think of mental health or depression, they think you're always sad, right? You're always sad. You're always, droopy, melancholy. You're like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
right.
But nobody tells us that, depression can come in many different forms. It can also come from rage. And
Mhm.
when we can realize that sometimes that rage is a sign of depression, we can help a lot of people out there more who are suffering from
Mm,
that. So this is why it's so important that every single person's different, and you have to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
love
Just like in
that.
business.
Yeah, absolutely. Such great points. Well, I want people to know how to get in touch with you. And I know that you have a freebie. So if you'll share some of your social media handles and then tell us what you'd like to offer the audience today.
Yeah, for sure. So you can check out my website, sheenayapchan.com. I have a free report called 8 Ways to Boss Up Your Confidence in Life and Business. I also have my podcast, thetowofselfconfidence.com. You can check out past episodes. Both websites, you can also get a copy of my book, Asian Women Who Boss Up. And also just look for Sheena Yap Chan on Google, because I'm the only Sheena Yap Chan on the internet. So it's just the easiest way to find me. All my socials will be there. And yeah.
Love that. Love that. Well, thank you so much for being here again. This has been such a joy to have you and just to be able to share your message out with everyone today. So thank you again for being here.
No worries. Thanks for having me. It's been such an honor.
Thank you.